When are we going? I'm
ready. I'm down.
My name is, and I am on staff here at Alpha, and I will be introducing our speaker tonight. So, for those of you who don't know, Courtney Clements is going to be preaching for us today, and I just want to tell you a little bit about Courtney. Her and Mac have personally blessed me a lot this year, just being on staff and hearing about their story. And originally they're from Arkansas, which you'll hear more about, and they're going to be actually going and pioneering a new Alpha over the next couple of years. So they're up to really cool things. They're very dedicated to evangelizing the lost and actually going somewhere where there isn't a great Christian community and trying to build something from nothing. So without further ado, I'd like to all of you give a big round of applause for Courtney, and she brings it up.
Okay, I'm like really excited. So tonight we're going to be talking about the culture of generosity, and I'm just really, really excited because I don't know, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified. There I am. I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because my life has been soaked in the generosity of Christ. So I'm an MK. Who knows what an MK is? Shout it out at me. Right, missionary kid. We have other missionary kids in here too, right? Who's a missionary kid? Yeah, okay. We got some more missionary kids in here. So, I'm not only a missionary kid, but I'm a Chi Alpha missionary kid, and that's just like even cooler, I think. I'm partial, okay? Don't take offense. It's just even cooler growing up in this atmosphere your whole life. So Glenn's kids are truly blessed because of you guys. And I'm now a missionary. So I grew up a missionary kid in Chi Alpha, and now I am a Chi Alpha missionary. So I'm just curious. Do you guys know how Glenn and Seth, Alva, Alicia, me and Matt, where our salary comes from? Okay, let me just step out of my sermon for a minute. I am the kind of person that I need like feedback. Like I like to interact with my audience, okay? So I've told Toki every 4 minutes I need an amen. No matter what's going on, amen every 4 minutes. Because here's the deal. If you're not really a talker, okay, then I need like one of these. Or if you got your arms like relaxed back and I need like one of these. Like I need something, okay? Because I am intelligent enough that if I don't think that you have it, I can repeat the same thing over and over, at least 5 times. I'm that intelligent. So what I'm trying to say is, if I'm making a good point or you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, we got it. So I'm curious, does anybody know how we get our salary? Yeah.
People donate to your cause, so your dependents are people don't give you money.
Right. Okay.
Chi Alpha grads.
That's right. Floyd?
God.
That's right. Okay, so for those of you that didn't fully grasp that, in a church, a pastor is paid a salary from the church with the tithe that comes in from the congregation. But here in Chi Alpha, we don't receive tithe. So the way that all of us are here is because a grouping of churches, I mean, Mac and I specifically, I don't know about everyone else, we have a few churches and about 200 individuals that have decided we will pay a portion, we will support you, a portion of your salary every month. So we have some people that send $5 a month. We have some churches that maybe send like $50 a month. But just different families and stuff like that. So even just being a missionary and being supported is just being soaked in the generosity of Christ. And that's what your brothers and sisters are doing for us. So I just wanted to explain that first. This year is actually even cooler because moving from Arkansas to California is quite a big deal. Like, cost of living there is like nothing. It's like nothing compared to living here. I'm sure you guys are all aware of all that. But this year, not only did our supporters send us here and pay for our monthly expenses here, but they bought us a car this year. Okay? Okay, they didn't like buy us a new car. Let me rephrase that. They gave us a car. And really, that means that God gave us a car. God prompted in your brothers and sisters in Christ's heart to give us a car this year. That's a really big deal. How many people that are not your parents have just given you a car? Not Tina. See, other missionaries in the room have been given a car. Let me just point this out, okay? I know Chase and Amanda had incredible things happen with their car, their missionary kids too. I'm just saying, there's a trend. So I just want to give a ministry plug really fast before we dive into the Word. That working full-time with God as your boss is the coolest adventure you could ever be on. So I know that most of you in here, most college students actually, you're going to go into marketplace ministry, which means you're going to be working in corporate world or techie world. I don't know. I call it corporate world, but you know what I mean. Secular world? Is that better? Yeah! We got it, amen, Chelsea. Okay. So most of you are going to go there, and you're going to be living out your Christian faith and doing marketplace ministry in where you go every day, your job. But some of you have been called to do full-time ministry. Some of you knew it as a child that you were going to be in full-time ministry. Some of you are being called right now to be in full-time ministry. So I just want to give a plug. It is the coolest thing you can do, having God as your boss. And if you are called to do full-time ministry, or you think you might be, I know that Glenn would love to be your advisor for when you graduate, what your next steps are to entering into full-time ministry. Okay? All right. Can you guys just say culture of generosity with me? Because that's what we talk about. Culture of generosity. All right. Let's open up the Word to 2 Corinthians chapter 8. And this isn't usual, but would you guys just stand in honor of reading God's Word? I believe this book is worth double honor, so let's just go ahead and do that tonight. It's up on the screen as well. We're going to read through verse 9. And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace that God has given the Macedonian churches. In the midst of a very severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability. Entirely on their own, they urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the Lord's people. And they exceeded our expectations. They gave themselves first of all to the Lord, and then by the will of God also to us. So we urge Titus, just as he had earlier made a beginning, to bring also to completion this act of grace on your part. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love that we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. I'm not commanding you, but I want to test the sincerity of your love by comparing it with the earnestness of others. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that you, through his poverty, might become rich. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the message you have given me to share tonight, and for your precious gift of generosity that you gave to us when you gave your Son to die for us. I pray that you will make me interesting and not boring, that you will make me relevant, you will make me short and not long-winded. And everyone said? Amen. You may be seated. All right, let's say this one more time. Culture of generosity.
Culture of generosity.
All right. So there's a lot packed into this 9 verses. I'm going to pull out 6 things that we're going to talk about. So the first thing, let's go to verse 2. Perfect. Okay, I made that. Thank you.
Amen.
In the midst of a very severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. This is our culture today. You guys see the main point up there? That's our culture today. It's true that the people that have less are often more generous than the people that have a lot. So Charles Spurgeon, you guys know who he is? Okay. He's kind of known as like the prince of preachers. kind of old-timey 1850-ish years. He's preached to over 10 million people. He's like a strong Reformed Baptist preacher, okay? This is one of his stories. He tells of receiving a wealthy man's invitation to come and preach at his church to receive an offering for a debt that the church had incurred. And the guy says, oh, and by the way, when you come, you're free to stay in my country home or my townhouse or the seaside house that I have. So Spurgeon writes back and says, sell one of those homes, pay the debt yourself. Okay, like that's the environment we live in. What Spurgeon did, super countercultural. What is cultural is when you have a lot, it's harder to give. So I'm going to talk about this later, but I just want to point out now, if you think you hardly have anything to give now, start giving now. Because it will only get harder to give. You want to make a practice of being a generous person? Start now when you think you have nothing. Be faithful in something that's small, and then you'll be giving more that's your own, okay? Yes, so we have this opportunity, and by we, I really mean y'all, because my generation is shifting now. You guys have this opportunity to shift the culture. And who better to shift culture than Stanford graduates? Seriously. Like college students in general, but Stanford graduates. Seriously have this opportunity to shift culture. And that's what we're talking about. It's culture of generosity. It is countercultural to be generous. So maybe it could be this generation. Maybe you are that generation that will begin to shift the culture. That Glenn won't be calling you, trying to get a hold of you after you graduate. You have this awesome job, you started all these companies, you know. That Glenn wouldn't have to call you and say, hey, we're really trying to raise money for winter retreat, or the ministry needs some more monthly ongoing support. That you would set on your calendar to call him in August every year, in January every year, tax time every year, and say, hey, how much do you need for winter retreat? We're just going to cover it this year. Or how much do you need on an ongoing monthly basis to just help the ministry have Bibles to give away, or have to be able to do pancakes? Maybe you are that generation of student. You don't know it yet, but maybe you are the one that's going to shift the culture to be the generous generation, countercultural. Let's move on to point number 2. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able and even beyond their ability. Here Paul is talking about not just giving out of abundance, but he's talking about giving sacrificially, or maybe even by faith. So there's something that we did first quarter with the girls' life group. It's really cool, but the first thing we did was we talked about 3 ways of giving. You can give in abundance. That's like, if you have it, give it. You know, if you have money to go on a missions trip or to support a ministry, no need to go raise a bunch, you have it. Okay, so giving in abundance. And there's giving sacrificially. That's like, I'm going to give up my Starbucks coffee for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to give, and that is sacrifice. Okay, there are some of you, that is big sacrifice. Or maybe it's not Starbucks. What's that place, Tina, that we like to go for chai? Koopa. Okay, maybe it's Koopa that you're going to give up for 2 weeks. Okay, that's a big deal. So that's sacrificial giving. Or maybe you sell something, I don't know, more sacrificial giving. And then there's giving by faith. The first quarter, the girls' life group decided we want to raise money for the Tenderloin ministry that Chelsea and some other people went on for spring break. We've talked about City Impact a lot in here. So some people decided, I'm going to give in abundance. Some people said, I'm going to give sacrificially, like my mom just sent me this birthday money, and it's mine, and I get to spend it on my stuff, but they gave sacrificially instead. Some people gave up what they really wanted and gave sacrificially. And then some people decided that they were going to give by faith. So this is kind of what some of them did. Some of them, they had ideas like taking candy to class and just giving it free to anyone and asking for donations. And then some people like baked a lot of stuff. Some people just like sent an email to their dorm, told them all about what's happening, asked them to slip money under their door, and it actually happened. So I just want to tell you that these 10 girls that are up here are the girls that participated in it. turned in almost $1,500. Okay? Yeah, for sure. Natalia, why don't you tell us what you did?
Yeah, we're cool.
So, at first I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll cook something. I'm kind of, all through high school, I like baked stuff, and I was kind of tired of baking stuff. And Courtney, she came up to me and she was like, wow, I would really buy some of those ribs that you gave me that one time you came over. She came over. I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. Ribs, yeah, I could sell them for a lot. Like people pay for meat, right? So first I was like, my first challenge was pricing it. I was like, I don't know what to price it at. They're only $10 a rack. They're actually kind of cheap, but it wouldn't. So I was like taking a survey from all my weightlifting teammates, like, how much should I sell it at? And the guys are dumb. They were making fun of me, like, oh, you can't cook, like, it's not good. So like, shut up. And I finally came to like $30 a rack plus $5 barbecue sauce, and so it was good. So then I had to get people to buy it, and I live in Mirrlees, for those of you who don't know, so that's the undergraduate apartment complex. So I figured, oh, this would be easy. Those kids hate cooking. Like, of course they'll buy my cooked ribs. They're awesome. And like, only one person bought half a rack from Mirrlees. Okay, whatever. But then my weightlifting team, which, you know, obviously they love me because we need protein, because we got muscles, they bought like all the ribs. So, let's see. I think I did 2 rounds. I ended up selling like 12 racks or 15 or something like that. A lot of ribs. And a few funny things happened. One was that I almost died. And so I was like, actually guys, so my ribs, I have to broil them first. And before that I marinate them, and they're being marinated in this like olive oil spiced concoction. And so I always just broil it like on the first rack, whatever, there you go. But this time, the oil got the aluminum foil, and the aluminum foil touched the top burner. So I open it up, I'm like, oh my god, there's a fire! Babe! My roommate, what do I do? Like, we're just like staring at this fire. We're like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And I just close it, and no, that's actually what you're supposed to do apparently with oil fires. You just close it and turn it off and let it die down. So then it died down, and we didn't die. And so yeah, I think through that experience, God gifted me back. I made a new really good friend. Her name's Michelle Park. She comes sometimes. She invited me to go oyster shucking because we got to know each other after that. That was cool. And now everybody knows, all my weightlifting team guys, they know that I make the best ribs ever, literally. And my coach said, he was like, oh, those are the best ribs I've ever had. So that's a little vain, but I was proud of it. So yeah, it was a great experience and made a lot of money for Courtney.
For City Impact.
Sorry, guys.
That's good. I just want to point out something Natalia didn't do. She didn't say, okay, I'm going to give by faith, and this is how much I think that by faith, I mean, I couldn't do it, but by faith, this is how much I think I could do. She didn't just not have that money come in and just take her debit card and or credit card and just swipe it and go into debt. Okay, like giving by faith is not giving what God doesn't give you. Giving by faith is giving what God does give you. Does that make sense? Amen. Preach. Yeah? Okay, that makes sense. Good. I see a few nods. All right, so let me just talk about her attitude. Like she was talking, the good attitude she had. Let's move on. In the midst of their trial, it says they were overflowing with joy and extreme poverty. which of course don't usually go together, right? Only with God. You know, James chapter 1 verse 2 says, consider it a pure joy when you're facing trials. So this is clearly what they were doing. And in that they welled up rich generosity. Entirely on their own, they urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the Lord's people, whom they did not know, by the way, stranger people in God's kingdom. And they exceeded our expectations. They gave themselves first of all to the Lord, and then by the will of God also to us. So I know I mentioned the dollar amount, because $1,500 for like 10 girls, that's like a really big deal, right? Everybody clap. And now everyone's talking again. Okay, what attitudes do you see from the people here in these two blue passages, scriptures?
Joy.
Joy. Okay, what else?
Urgency.
Urgency. Someone besides Ben. Anybody? Oh, it was him. Okay, good. Who else? Eagerness, that's good. Not only what? Selflessness. Not only were they eager, they were like begging. Please let us give. Please let us give to be a part of this, right? Their attitude had a whole lot to do with it. It's not about the dollar amount, it's about their attitude. And the fact is that they were extremely poor, right? We're about to move to Mississippi, and everybody's like, they're so poor. They're all telling us that. They're so poor. The fact is they didn't let their economic situation define whether or not they were going to be involved in giving. They didn't let their economic situation disqualify them from doing God's work. Courtney, I'm a poor college student. I can barely afford my Starbucks every week, okay? Like, I don't have money to give. Guys, do not I don't receive that excuse. I don't receive that at all. Don't let your economic situation disqualify you from being involved in what God is trying to do. Don't let it disqualify you from being involved in the opportunity to do the Feed One thing that we're going to do in a couple of weeks. Okay, here we go. Next. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love that we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. I put the y'all in there purposefully because I'm from Arkansas, okay? Max said I'm going to lose credibility. I put that in there on purpose. It was planning. Y'all need some of that Southern culture here. Okay. Truly, some of the most intelligent minds in the world are sitting in this room right now. I know you guys don't think about yourselves that way because I've said this in life group and everybody's like, no. But it's true. You are studying at Stanford because you excel in almost everything that you do. It's true. You excel at everything. That's why you're here. You are some of the most intelligent people in the entire world. Why not also excel in the grace of being generous? Why not also excel in this? You excel in everything else in your life. This is the perfect opportunity to just be one more thing, just to excel at one more thing, right?
Amen.
Okay, that's hard to receive, but y'all excel at everything. You're good at everything. I meet Natalia, she's Olympic weightlifter, right? I hang out with Adrienne, she can kick you in the head, okay? And she, like, over and over again. It's incredible. You guys there's future presidents studying at this school. You have Olympian athletes studying at this school right now. They may not be there yet, but they're going to be there. Okay? You have people, George just came up with this awesome thing. People are... My husband's a organic chemistry guy. I like music. Okay, so you have Allie's, people are going to be producing music. You're going to be buying their stuff forever. You excel at everything that you do. I want to urge you, be excelling in this. Be different, countercultural than your peers. Starting now, and when you get out. Don't be the people that have so much. Chances are you guys are going to be very well off, okay? Chances are you're in the Silicon Valley, you're going to get incredible jobs. I got Lauren and Tina just got their #1 choice on the job that they want. Next, that's like their fellowship for 1 year. #1 choice. And they got picked over who? Everybody else in the country that applied. Everyone else, okay? And they're going to be working in DC. Like, you guys excel at everything, and you're going to be very well off. And so I just want to challenge you. Start now by trending different than the culture. Start now by saying, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to force myself to be generous. I'm going to figure it out. I don't know why or how it comes up, but I'm gonna do it. Start now, so that when it gets bigger, it's easier to give.
Amen.
Yeah. Y'all can read the blue this time. I'm gonna read the white. I'm not telling you have to do this. It does sound like that, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. It's not a command that you have to. But it is true that it's more blessed to give than to receive. Yeah, I'm going to say it one more time. It is true, like, absolutely true, that it is more blessed to give than to receive. So I'm going to talk to you guys about weenies and cheese. I'm a missionary kid, right? I told y'all that. When I was growing up, we had nothing. I mean, nothing. We had no money. We had nothing. So every night, like our nightly, we would rotate between weenies and cheese, which are like hot dogs, the little ones that are like 99 cents for 8 or 10 of them, you know? And my parents would cut those up, and then we had like pieces of cheese, and they'd cut them up and like put them on a plate. We'd eat weenies and cheese one night, and the next night, beans and cornbread. Okay? Typical Southern dish. I cannot stand weenies or that kind of cheese or cornbread or beans anymore. I've eaten it way too much, okay? But that's the way I grew up. I grew up with weenies and cheese. And I remember so many times that my parents, my brother and I, we slept in bunk beds in the same room. I remember so many times that my parents would come and tuck us in and say, hey, so you ate a pretty good meal tonight. Do you feel full? We're like, yeah. Okay. They said, tomorrow we're going to send you to school on the early bus so that you can get there. And some of the kids, they get there early because their moms are teachers and they give them food. So go in and just try to eat some of their stuff that they have. And then you'll get the lunch that the school offers. And then after school, I want you to try to go home with some of your friends. So if your friends invite you to go home with them, go home with them. And you don't even have to ask. This time, you just go. Go home with them. And their parents are going to give you an after-school snack, just like we always have here. It's just what they do. And then when they invite you to stay for dinner, you don't even have to ask our permission for that. You stay for dinner with them. And you just make sure that their parents can drop you off here after dinner's over. And you can stay as late as you want. It doesn't matter as long as their parents will drop you off. Because we don't have anything to eat for tomorrow. So it's very important that you understand how you're going to get your food tomorrow. This is what you do. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've heard my parents say that. There's probably not very many people in here that grew up like that. But this is the cool thing. I told you, working for God as your boss is like the best thing ever. Every single time. Every single time. Not most times, but every single time. When we woke up the next morning, one of your brothers and sisters in Christ, decided, I bought all these groceries, I don't need them. They would just drop them off on our front porch. And it would never happen unless it was one of those nights that my parents told us there's not going to be any food the next day. But every single time they told us that, things like this would happen. We'd walk out to go get the early bus, and we would have these Walmart bags covering the front porch, full of food. Good food, not weenies and cheese. Good food, okay? Just covering our front porch. Or we'd walk out, and there would be this, my brother and I would always race to get the mail in the morning in the newspaper. And so we would get the mail, and there would be like a wad of cash. It was probably a couple $100, but we were like, we would like throw it. Every time, money in the mailbox, food on the front lawn. Sometimes yes, exactly. So my parents sometimes would just receive a phone call way early in the morning, and people would be calling saying, hey, we just wanted to come over and take you guys out for a big breakfast today, and then maybe get you guys some groceries, or hey, we made way too many pancakes. Our neighbors are like, please, we made way too many pancakes. Take them from us. Every single time. That's what my God did for me. That's what God did for my family. That's the generosity of Christ acting through your brothers and sisters. I want to tell you, like, even to this day, I have very, very strong convictions when I feel even the tiniest little inkling of, I should pay for the guy behind me in the fast food line. Or, oh, that guy, he's playing a guitar, I should give him 20 bucks or whatever, like, anytime I have the slightest inkling to give anything, I don't even worry about whether it's from God or not. If it was totally flesh, what's going to happen? The guy's going to be blessed, and I'm giving, which is better than receiving, every time I give it. Because what if I am the person that gave them their next meal that they weren't going to get? What if I am the reason that their children get to have a meal in the morning? I have such a strong conviction about that, because that's how I grew up. I grew up just saturated in the generosity of Christ. I'm going to tell you the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. It's about this picture here. Woo! Anybody have one of those?
No.
I went on a tour. Most people, when they were little, played school, whatever. I played Office. Did anybody play Office?
Yes.
Okay, I played Office. And I'm still playing Office today, and I love it. But I saw one of these in an office, and I was in 2nd grade, and I had to have it. Okay? This was 1994 that this happened. 20 years ago. So, again, we're missionaries. It came Christmas time. And something happened. My parents didn't have any money, like any money at all for Christmas. So they sit us down on the bed. And we're both on the bottom of the bed. My brother's bed. And they tell us, we're not going to have any money for Christmas presents this year. We're like, Santa got this. No big deal. He got it. And they're like, well, we have to tell you something. Right? And so they tell us Santa's not real, that they've been doing it this whole time, and that really we're not going to get any Christmas gifts this year. They said specifically, your grandma and grandpa will get you each 2 gifts, and the other one will get you 1 gift each. And this one is going to be socks and clothes, and this one possibly will be a toy. You are not going to get any gifts from us. We want to be very clear, so you're not waking up expecting Santa's gifts to be in there. Okay, sounds really sad. Everybody awed, right? Oh, so terrible. What a bad way to find out. Okay, at this point, I was 8. All right, my brother is 6. At this point, when my parents say we're not going to get something, we're like, okay. Like, oh yeah, we're not going to have food tomorrow. Whatever. Watch, Mom. Watch. It's going to happen. Just incredible faith. Okay, incredible faith. And they're like, no, really, really. There's going to be nothing. Don't. We're like, well, all right, whatever you say. So we kept making our list. You guys make lists all year long. Anybody? Yeah, a few. I still make lists all year long for Christmas because it's a big deal to me. Anyway. So we still had our list. They were like 3 pages front and back. Okay, everybody, children, we do that. We circle the magazine stuff.
Yeah.
So, like 2 weeks later, my mom comes in and says, "You guys were right. You guys were right." A local church called, this tiny little country church. They called and they said that they want to buy us each 1 gift for Christmas. And we're like, yeah. So we had to circle the 3 things we wanted the most. My mom shipped them off. And then as soon as she shipped them off to the church, snail mail, by the way, I did the freak out. Because I already told my mom that I wanted that. And I told Santa to to make sure I wanted that. And I didn't put it on my list because I already told the people that give me stuff, and I didn't put that on my list. And that is the one thing I wanted more than anything else. I didn't think through the fact that it doesn't come with M&Ms, okay? But I wanted that so bad. So I'm begging my mom for the next like 2 weeks. Please just call them, tell them that's all I want. I don't give me an inch, that's all I want. It's only like however much I thought it was, 20 cents or something. Like 20 cents, please. She's like, I'm not calling that church and telling them, forget the generosity you're offering. You must get my daughter this one thing. She's like, no, I'm not doing it. It's too bad. Next year you'll plan a little better. So time comes, we wake up, we go to Sunday school. Who went to Sunday school? Yeah, okay, real early. We go to Sunday school, and we don't know anybody because we're at this random country church with only like 2 other kids. So we taught them a dance. And then we go into big church, okay? Which is like the main service, but we call it big church. Go into big church, and the stage is covered in gifts. We see all these other missionary families there, and all of their kids. We actually had friends. They didn't have to come to Sunday school. But the gifts, I mean, the pastor couldn't even stand on the stage. The organ was covered, the piano, the grand piano was covered, all the drums had presents stacked up. To me, they were this high, okay? When I stood in the middle of the stage, the presents came up to here, all over the stage. And to my parents, like to us, like thigh high, okay? But still, that's a lot of presents. So immediately the pastor walks up to the altar area in the front and calls our family up and says, hey, we just wanted to let you know that we got you a special gift. Each person in our church got you guys a special gift. And me and Ryan are like, oh my gosh. My mom's like, whatever it is, you be grateful. It's the only gift you're going to get, and it's from God. So you better be grateful, you know? We knew, so this like older mama lady kind of walks up to me, and I'm like, great, turtleneck. So she hands me this thing, and it's kind of hard, so my brother and I tear in, and it's a Bible. Which for a missionary kid, I had like 8 of those already. And like 8 in there, I had multiple different languages. Okay, I couldn't even read these languages, but we have Bibles in every language. We had all these given to us so we could give them away. Missionaries do, right? So a Bible was not the best thing. We're like, thank you so much. Like trying to smile through it. Ironically, to this day, it's one of my most treasured possessions. I preached my first sermon from it. My brother preached his first sermon from it. But anyway, so a Bible, big deal. Okay, they wrote little personal messages in it. They prayed over us. I was 8. I did this. You know, that's what all the big kids did. And then he says, and we had one other couple in the church that got you all each a special gift. And I was like, sweet, 2. I got 2, Mom, you liar. And I said, 1, I got 2. So this other like real like mom, I mean not like old mama, but like this kind, like, you know, like that kind of mama made her way up to me with under her arm. And so she gives me this gift, and again, turtlenecks. That's all I can think, turtlenecks. How do I smile for a turtleneck? And I tear in, and it's this. And she starts explaining to me, before I even have a time to understand that she had gotten me this gift, she says, honey, I know this wasn't on your list. Okay? She's talking like that. I know it's not on your list. But as I was walking through the Walmart, that's what they say down there. As I was walking through the Walmarts, I saw this, and I just felt like I had to get this. And I was like, thank you. You know, I run, I take him to my mom, and I'm like, thank you for telling them. And she just goes, my baby, that wasn't me, that was God. It was God. My mom is just giving me, you know, she's getting it. She So the story gets even better, okay? The pastor then says, they pray over us again. My brother and I always did that, I don't know why. Antenna or something. So finally the pastor comes back up and he says, hey, usually we get one gift for every person in the family of a missionary family, but this year what we decided to do is just bless one missionary family. And so all of a sudden, it's like the movies, you know, the big doors on the side of the stage open up. Got these big trucks backing up to the doors in this little church, you know. And all of a sudden, he's like telling, and we are, he's going there, no, and we're going to just bless this family and let them open the rest of their gifts on Christmas morning. And so ushers, deacons, elders, could you come and please begin to load the gifts onto the trucks. So we're standing there, Mom and my brother in hand, and my brother like starts yanking on me. And I'm like, yeah, let us pray. And they're gonna pray, of course, this man, oh Lord, bless his soul, you know. He's praying through Genesis, all of it. And so I just let go. And my mom, she's just like still. She doesn't even care. Me and my brother just take off running up on stage and grabbing gifts, throwing them in the truck. Because we realize they're all for us. Every single gift on that stage piled up to here was for us. Do you guys understand the generosity of God? He didn't just give me a Bible. He didn't just give me exactly what I wanted, but was dumb enough to not ask for it. He gave every single thing that was on that list to me, and actually more. We went through our list, because we made copies. We went through our list to mark off what we got. We got to mark off every single thing, 3 pages, front and back, and we added stuff. We got to add stuff, and not just Bible. I mean, lots of stuff. We got and you know we didn't ask for clothes. We didn't ask for turtlenecks and all the stuff we needed. We got all that too. We got everything. That's what my God, that's what He does for us. It's not just me, that's what He wants to do for you. See, that's what your brothers and sisters have done in faith. They gave by faith. That tiny country church, not a chance they could have pulled that off. There's no way. That absolutely was given sacrificially and by faith. Let's move on to the next thing. Jesus is just so the coolest guy ever. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though He was rich, yet for your sake He became poor, so that through His poverty you might become rich. I'm going to read you guys a paraphrased version of that. You are familiar with the generosity of our Master Jesus Christ. Rich as He was, He gave it all away for us. In one stroke, He became poor, and we became rich. See, this is the root. He is the root of Christian giving, of godly giving. We don't give because there's a need. We don't give because I am the most generous person in the world. Thank you, checked it off. I exceed and excel at everything. It's not because of that. That isn't the root of giving. He is the root of giving. Why? Why is He the root of giving? Because He is the one that is the most generous gift that has ever been given. You see, He gave His life for you, for me. God gave His Son away to die for us. There is no greater gift that there could be. He is the best gift. He is the reason why we are to be generous. He is the reason for my urgency to give anything I can find to give away, to give away. I want to give it away because He gave it all away for me. Heather, would you come? In the next couple of weeks, we're going to receive an offering, as they talked about earlier. But for tonight, I just want to start with the most simple step. We're going to flip back to verse 5. It says, They exceeded the expectations. They gave themselves first of all to the Lord, and then they gave the financial blessing. First of all, they gave themselves to the Lord. I know that tonight there are probably a few of you in here that you have yet to receive the most generous gift that has ever been given. You have yet to receive the gift that Christ gave, which was his life. And he didn't just give his life for fun. No, no. He gave his life to purchase a place in heaven for you, for me. So that all we have to do is transfer our trust from ourselves totally to him. All about him. We just have to give all of ourselves away to him. Did that go well? Give all of ourselves away to him. That is what causes the spirit of generosity within. That is what will be the agent of change in the culture. That'll be what changes the culture. Your cultural shift will begin because of him. Because of recognizing what he did. And not just what he continues to do. He gave us a car this year. God gave us a car this year. That's nothing compared to what he gave 2,000 years ago. Over 2,000 years ago, right? On the cross, when he gave his life. He gave it all away. So we're going to do response time a little differently tonight. First of all, let's just all do the bow and close your eyes stuff. If you are that person sitting here in this room that you say, man, the generosity that you're talking about that Christ gave, I haven't received it yet. And I want to receive the most precious gift ever given. I want to receive that tonight. If you would, right now, I just want you to begin to make eye contact with me. Make eye contact with me saying, I want to receive the best gift that has ever been given right now. I want to become a Christian right now. Okay, I see those eyes. Anybody else? Who else? For those eyes that look at me later. For the rest of us in the room. Okay. I wasn't sure I was going to say this. Earlier a couple of weeks when I was preparing this, within the last few weeks, I told God, oh, God, done? Come on. Like, I've given all of myself to you, no problem. I moved from Arkansas to California, which is like a foreign country to me. So I've given everything. I've given everything. I give my time, I give my money, I've given it all to you, no problem. Just super, all about myself, right? And God says, you know, there's more that I require of you. And I was like, what? More? What else? You know, more? Yes, Courtney, there is more that I require. So I started preparing this sermon and I'm thinking, how can anyone in the world tell the Stanford students that there is more that God requires of them? You guys excel in everything. How possibly could he require more? And he confirmed again, there is more. There is more that I require of him. There is more that he requires of you. There's more that he requires of the staff. Guaranteeing that no one has fully given all of themselves away. As I just started talking through that, I know the area in your life that God is saying, that's it. That's what you haven't given me. That is what you have not given me right there. That insecurity, that's what I want. That You guys remember that Trading Your Sorrow song? I don't know. But you trade all the junk and he gives you Christmas 1994. Even better, he gave his life. He's saying all those things. I know right now you guys are being prompted. Every person is different. But God is saying there's something you haven't given me. And you all know what it is right now. Here's what we're going to do for response time. I'm going to have, Heather's going to start singing this song. And it's very simple. The lyrics say, I give myself away so that you can use me. We're going to have Valerie's going to turn off the lights. And right now, as you decide, God, that fear of failure, that insecurity, those wounds that I've been battling my whole life from my childhood, my broken family, my studies, I'm terrified about my future, all of those feelings, all the stress and the worry. I mean, we still have a whole quarter left. Finals are coming, whatever it is in your life, the addictions that you have, whether it be to money, whether it be to success, fame, maybe it's sexual stuff, I don't know. Whatever it is, you know what it is. So what we're going to do is as she begins to sing this song, as you are ready to not just sing the words on the wall, but do what the words on the wall are talking about. As you're ready to say, okay, God, I give it to you. Then I want you to just stand up where you are and just begin worshiping the one who died for you. Worshiping and telling him that I am giving myself to you so that you can use me, whether it be in full-time ministry, whether it be in marketplace ministry, so that you can use me as a catalyst for change, that you can use me to change culture. You can use me to do whatever you want. I'll just be money in your hands. Spin me on what you want. So not right now, but in just a second, as she starts singing this song, that's what I want to happen. As soon as you're ready to say, God, that thing that you just prompted me about, I'm going to give it to you. I just want you to stand and just begin to worship with us.
So you can use me. I give myself away.
Father, thank you so much.
I give myself away.
Right now,
So you
God, that are being broken down.
can use me. Give myself away. I give myself away. So you can use me. I give myself away. I'm not my own. I give myself away. So you can use me. Here I am. Here I stand. Lord, my life is in your hands. Lord, I'm longing to see your desires revealed in me. I give myself away.
Let me restate this. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Give myself away.
Every single person in here,
Can use me. I give
God is
myself
requiring more of you. Every single person. I'm talking